Hello and welcome back to Sailing Channel We Bought a Boat and episode 2, the Solent Mile Builder. Coming up in this episode will be the 2-day round trip we did from Gosport Marina to Yarmouth Marina on the Isle of Wight. I'd like to start off in episode 2 with giving a big shout out to a sailing channel on YouTube that I've been following for 2 years, which is the Sailing Brothers. There's a link below, but there's a clickable link in the description for this video. But I wanted to give them a big shout out because they've probably been the biggest inspiration to us as a family to actually getting us to go and buy a boat. We've been following their content for the last year. They are 2 brothers from Wales, very normal guys who have put together a fantastic channel full of content from their journey from England all the way down to the Canary Islands, down to Cape Verde, across the Caribbean, up the American coast, the east coast of America, up into Canada, back down the North Atlantic to Bermuda, back across to the Bahamas and through past Jamaica, down to the Panama Canal, across the Pacific to French Polynesia, onto Tonga, and currently they are doing a circumnavigation of New Zealand, and I wanted to give them a big thank you for inspiring us, and I wanted to give them a big shout out. So if you're watching this video and you like watching sailing content, I would highly recommend going to see the Sailing Brothers. I would class them as the best sailing channel on YouTube. Now, as I missed out on the opportunity previously, please like, share and subscribe if you're liking the content that we've put out so far. So let's get started with our Solent Mile Builder trip. Here you can see an image of Navionics from my Navionics, which I activated for the trip. I just wanted to show you where we started from. So we started from a marina just up from Portsmouth, Gosport Marina, and we ended up on day 1 at Yarmouth Marina on the Isle of Wight. So as you can see, we've just pushed off from the dock and we're heading up towards Portsmouth. Here you can see me just getting a quick lesson from Sebastian, the skipper and owner of the boat. Windfowl is the name of the yacht, which I mentioned earlier in the video. She's a 32 foot. He's just showing me here how to tie some knots, quick release knots for the fenders. So first order of business on the trip was to stop just before the entrance and exit to the Solent in Portsmouth. We stopped at a Premier Marina fuel dock to get some fuel. Now once we got out of Portsmouth and into the Solent, we actually had a fairly decent wind. We weren't expecting to have any wind on this journey. It was forecast to be very light both days, but we actually got out and found that we had a 10 to 12 knot wind. We were sailing into the wind for most of it, but as you can see we had some decent speed, about 5 knots, and by mid-afternoon we were about halfway on the other side of the channel, on the Isle of Wight coast now. Now, as I mentioned in the previous videos, my approach to learning to sail is just to get as much experience, confidence and training as I can before I get my family, my children, onto our boat and take them out. So this mile builder is with a crew of 4, including me. 2 of the people on this boat, Sebastian and Camille, are quite experienced sailors and have over 2,500 nautical miles of sailing experience between the 2 of them, and Daniel, who's a young guy from Exeter who has some fantastic sailing experience of yacht deliveries, sailing in the Mediterranean. He was really quite knowledgeable, so I was just there just to suck the knowledge out of them really. I learned as much as I could, and I learned quite a lot, particularly about tides. Now you can see here Sebastian on the radio. He's just radioing forward to Yarmouth Marina, just to let them know that we're going to be arriving within the hour. And during that radio call, he got a message that the tide was kicking up some swells at the entrance to the marina. So you'll see us here coming in, and we've got Daniel on the bow with a fender line, just in case we bang into anything. And you can see from the images the kind of turbulence the tide is causing as we're coming in. So Sebastian very sensibly took the helm and took us into the marina, and we did make it. So here you can see we're parked up now for the night. The boat's all locked down and ready for the evening, and we headed off to the pub. So the following day we left around 6:30. Reason for leaving so early was Sebastian wanted to catch the tides all the way back, because it was very light winds. As you can see, it's completely flat calm, but we're doing about 6 to 6.5 knots on the tide, under motor the whole way. But it was a brighter day, although still very cold, but the winds, there was no winds. It was completely flat calm. I think the highest wind reading we had on the day was 0.5 knot. So I decided to get my drone out and have a play with the drone. So I got some lovely shots, as you can see here, of the sunrise in the morning. And by about midday, after mucking around in the Solent and doing some practice, Sebastian was teaching us how to crab and use the tides and things like that. Camille started to make lunch. So here you can see me on the helm. Really good to jump on the helm and take control of the boat, just to get a feel for how she is under motor. I also had a go on the way over as well under sail, which is a very different experience, I can tell you. But the main thing I wanted to pick up from this is that I'm on a wheel, as you can see, and my boat is a tiller. So I am as yet to have any prolonged experience on a boat with a tiller. We did bring our boat back in the previous video from Wolverston, but I only jumped on the tiller a few times, and it is very different. I can tell it's very different. A tiller to a wheel is very different. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of getting used to my boat and a tiller as opposed to a wheel. This is just us now approaching Portsmouth. We can see Portsmouth in the distance, and we can see the Spinnaker building. It was really kind of brightened up, but it's still very, very cold, still no wind, completely flat, and we're just using the tide now and crabbing in towards the entrance. And then before we know it, we're passing the Spinnaker building, and we can see the aircraft carriers in the distance. Lots of police boats around them. You can't get too close to them, otherwise they fly over to you and you know, push you off in another direction. And before we know it, we're coming into the marina where we started the day before. So it was all over very quick. Thoroughly enjoyed it, learnt a lot. Can highly recommend doing mile builders to gain some experience. I was very lucky to find these guys. I think you can do mile builders with sailing schools. They often put them up on their course calendars as mile builders. I'd highly recommend doing some in between courses. I'm about to start tomorrow my online day skipper theory with Ardent, as I mentioned in the previous video. So my next episode I will talk a bit about my experience with that and how that went. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time for episode 3.